All right, Barry, it's showtime.
It's showtime, Phil.
It's showtime, baby.
It's showtime, baby.
It's showtime, folks.
Come on, Bubba, it's showtime.
Showtime, bitch. Showtime.
Hey, Ringo, showtime.
Okay, Trey, showtime.
Showtime, Trail.
Showtime.
Showtime! Showtime!
Showtime.
Don't say it. Please, don't say it.
No, I have to say it, Mitch. Showtime.
Ed Berliner, the fastest show in sports.
Hi, once again, everybody, and welcome back into the fastest show in sports. Those of you listening on audio podcast, those of you watching on YouTube video, and if you're watching on YouTube video, you know that it is Hawaiian Shirt Friday, which it always has been for the fastest show for like a million years. I'm Ed Berliner, your host, your ringmaster. The guy in the middle is Mike Wise, a celebrated author, sports dude, commentator. He's been all over network TV, and he's just brilliant. He's just brilliant, and for that, he owes me the $20. On the other side, of course, is Kevin Winter, the celebrated redhead number 2, former ESPN radio sportscaster, host, all that other good stuff, and play-by-play. So let's get into it now. I guess we just go ahead and start with the Masters, because while we're doing this show here on a Friday, it is the second round of the Masters, and Kevin Winter has his monitor on, his television set, so he can watch the Masters for no other reason than he is checking his bets. Let's be honest.
I'm going to weigh it.
Ludwig Aberg to win. I told you guys at the end of the day, now granted, as we sit here, 5 under, 3 back in Justin Rose.
The second round,
here's
the deal.
it's not even
So
cut
it's
day
just
yet.
well, if Justin Rose comes back to the field a little bit, I want to say just I met Kevin over the internet on Tuesday, was it? And I thought, I'll put a little faith in the guy, see if he's one of these guys that's got stone cold locks or what he know what he's doing. But it was more of a joke, right? I put $20 on Ludwig van Aberg or whatever. I forgot that. I didn't know that he finished second at the Masters a year ago.
A guy
and he
you've
likes
never
him
met
to
before,
win.
and you go ahead and vote on a guy that has more vowels than are actually allowed in a normal name, and you think you've made a good bet. Are you insane?
Well, when you come across a degenerate like Kevin, you
Thank
just
you.
go with it. And so I put $20 on, and it pays like $500, and the guy's in second right now. So who am I to knock anything right now?
So you both got the same guy then in the
Oh,
bet.
yeah, he backed me. He tailed me. He absolutely tailed my bet. 100% he tailed me.
Wait, how much did you put on him?
I put 50. Hang on. I got like 50 or 40 to win 700.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I know whatever it is, whatever the payout is.
Degenerate gamblers, you, for crying out loud. It's the beautiful sport of golf, and all you do is watch it just so you can put a couple of bucks in your pocket. You degenerates.
Well, the funny thing is, guys, so Mike, I got an email, and I have 2 different groups of people, and I think this is kind of, we just came off March Madness. So we always talk about brackets, right? Golf now has a bunch of people, and everyone does golf pools for every tournament where you can pick, certain players in the top 10 out of the top 50. You can pick certain players from continental Europe. Golf is now one of the most popular bet on sports that there really is out there. It's amazing. And I never knew that even like 10 years ago.
Well, I think
do you guys ever watch
anybody
John
can win?
Well, that's it. And but if a guy's playing well for a while, look, I saw. I don't know if you guys ever watched John Oliver, a leftist communist socialist. No, but
I am a devotee
it's actually
every single week on Last Week Tonight. I am there on Monday watching the show, and I'm in my office on Monday morning. It is the best news show on television today. They do better research than anybody, save for 60 Minutes.
So they did a great piece on gambling, on sports gambling, and how everybody and their mom that puts down on parlays. It's like 90% of these sports books are propelled by perpetual losers, and then every now and then you get these winners. But it's such a big thing now. They had this big thing in where people were staying up in Oregon betting on table tennis, like ping pong, in Poland. Like two guys would be in
Yes.
a room, an empty room in Poland.
Yeah, but it's not
they're
addictive. If you
professional.
talk to some people, they'll say that, oh, don't worry about it. Gambling's not addictive. I can step away at any time.
Right.
Meantime, they're watching the other side of the world a table tennis match. And you're right. And in that bit, they talked about how you can bet on 1 point. You're not betting on the match. You're betting on a point in the match.
But the guy cashed 35,000 for betting on some guy in Poland in like 3 a.m. in the morning, Portland, Oregon time. I mean, that's sustainable income there, Ed.
But how much did he invest to make that $35,000? Look, I've been around gamblers my whole life. I've been around the people who do it for a living, and they'll tell you that for every $10,000 they won, it cost them $25,000 to invest and make it. Look, you go to Vegas, it's the same thing. You drop a couple of $100 there. Meantime, you've spent thousands of dollars to win 50. Come on.
Well,
God bless my dad. Go ahead, Kev.
I can bring this up. I can bring this up now because mom's long gone. But it was about 15 years ago. I was on an absolute heater during college football season. I mean, I won $15,000 in one weekend, and so for Christmas, I bought my mom. And Mike, I was on one. I bought my mom for Christmas a jacuzzi. It was a $29,000 jacuzzi that I paid for straight cash, homie. The next year, I'm in the hole 13. I almost had to go unplug the jacuzzi and give it back.
That's my point.
Well, that's a great that's a great lead in.
My sister looks at me and goes, "What?" She says, "What are you going to do?" And I went, "I'm trying not to take the jacuzzi back."
See, I'm one of the guys, and I've learned over the years with all the gamblers I was involved with. When I go to Vegas, I walk into the casino in Vegas, and I have X amount of money to spend, whatever it is, 500, 1,000. That's it. I have that in my pocket to spend. When it's gone, I walk out. Because I'll still never forget a buddy of mine whose dad was a billionaire restaurateur who didn't give the kid a dime, and we wound up in Atlantic City one day, and he goes in there and he's got $5,000 in his pocket, and we are bouncing from casino to casino. He loses the whole thing, loses $5,000 in an hour and a half. I swear to you, an hour and a half, gone. He then goes and draws out another $5,000. He lost that by the end of the night, and he's got another $5,000 that he grabbed onto. He lost that by the time we left. The guy lost $15,000 because he couldn't stay away from the cages. And that's when you
here's the deal.
Easily. That's when I learned right there. That's it. I walk into a casino, whatever I've got. When I lose it, I walk out.
Hey, you know what? That guy gave you the best life lesson in gambling you could possibly get.
Sure.
That you will eventually lose. And there's a reason why new wings go on casinos all the time. You know, Kev's story is a great lead into my dad. God rest his soul. Although I'm still pissed he had me paying his cable bill when we found a bunch of money in his under his bed after he died. But anyway, that's another story. So he used to tell this story about amongst the family how, and my uncle was with him at the time, so he would sort of get into it too, and we would think, Dad, man, or something walking into a saloon, because he would go, yeah, one day I had like $40, I put it down and I doubled it. And then I doubled it again, and then I doubled, and he just kept going. And I'm going, how many cans can you win in a row? And he goes, well, I finally got up to $8,000, and your uncle told me to leave. And I said, God damn it, Kev, I'm not leaving. He's a Kevin too. And he put down, he went all or nothing on the 8,000, and he got like a 12, and the dealer busted, and he walked out with 16 grand. And everybody tells this story, but he doesn't tell the story of how when he was like, I don't know, 70 or 65, he basically took my stepmom's credit card, maxed it out, and went on some high limit slot binge, lost 45 grand, basically cost him the marriage because she divorced him after that.
That's an
But
addict.
he never tells you about that story.
Well, but see, that's an addict.
He never tells you about that.
That's a degenerate gambling addict, and that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
Because now it's so easy to bet
Yeah.
that it's easy to become addicted to it. They've got raucous numbers of addictions now in gambling across America because it's so easy to get to. It's the guy and the gal who can't stop gambling. I learned that a long time ago. Lost my money, watched people lose the money. To me, it's entertainment. That's all. I'll go in there occasionally. I'm a blackjack player and I'm a poker player. I'll go in there. I'll lose a couple bucks, I'll win a couple of bucks, but at the end of the day, I look back at what I've got and I said, well, let's see, okay. I came out of a poker tournament one day and I won $6,000. But then I sat and thought about it for a minute. I said, it took me about $10,000 to get there. So I'm still $4,000 in the hole. I'm not a professional at it.
To the point of, and I remember this when all these states were trying to legalize gambling, especially here in Massachusetts. Yeah. One of the things was, this is going to bring in the criminal element. No. And I wish I got called before Congress, before one of the state senates for this. The criminal element is betting through Joey the Nose. That's the criminal element. An app on your phone.
They're a lot more sophisticated than that these days, Kevin.
Well, yeah, I get it. But you can't bet on your phone what you don't have. Now, I understand you can max out a credit card and put it into your account. But I can't put a $5,000 bet down if I don't have $5,000 in the account. I can call Joey the Nose and make a $5,000 bet. I don't have it, but I'm hoping it wins.
You can call Joey the Nose and make a bet, and then you can wait and sit in your home for the next 6 years waiting for Joey the Nose and his buddies to show up and break everything on your hands. You know?
Right. But by these apps,
I know that. I've been there. I've seen that happen.
Right. But these apps protect you from that, because you can't bet what you don't have. And that's what everyone's saying, oh, we can't legalize gambling. Bullshit. It's going to make things a lot easier. All people want to do is put a $10 bet down. Some want to put 100. Some want to put 1,000. But for the most person wants to put a $10 bet down.
See, I'll tell you what. The only thing when it comes down to gambling. Go ahead, Mike. I got something I want to add in here, but you go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that the biggest thing that a lot of people who bet the apps and have sort of navigated them well. Obviously, you have, Kevin, because you're still with us. You're not dead. Nobody has broken your legs.
Well, you can't see below the waist, so you don't know at this point. You don't know what happened during the tournament.
This is true, and I don't know if I want to see below the waist either. But that's okay. It doesn't change how I feel about either of you. But what I was going to say was that that these apps now, basically try to get you to buy in. They have point systems. They keep trying to sell you stuff, and it doesn't stop. It's like it's like somebody trying to sell you a timeshare every day of the week with a new deal that you're going to get. You're going to get extra cash to bet on something. I mean, they try to keep you. It's like Facebook. They try to keep you looking. Engagement makes them money.
To it. I mean, what you're pointing out is exactly what they had on Last Week Tonight on the John Oliver show. That's what they were pointing out. Is that every time you don't bet, here comes the push notification, here comes something else. Hey, we've got another 1,000 points for you that we'll be happy to give you. And all you got to do, hey, here's $2,000 that you can bet. It's all a come on. And the people who fall for that are addicts. I mean, that's it. There's no other way to talk about it. They're addicted to gambling, and they got to have it.
I did a story on Jamal Crawford several years ago for ESPN, and I just did a long feature. But one of the stories I had heard about him, and I didn't know he was going to share it with me, was that his second year in the league, Michael Jordan had gambling, like we're talking casino type gambling, at his restaurant in Chicago, a restaurant called Blue. And he would bring down these Detroit mobsters, basically, would come down and set up the roulette table, the blackjack table. They had a dice area. So Jamal Crawford's like a young kid. He's still making $800,000, whatever it was a year. But he comes in and he thinks, I won a lot of money in dice in high school or whatever. He keeps going two, like I need 2 extra thousand to the guy, right? He gets in 16,000 deep. He gets in. Long story short, he tells me the whole story. He said, I lost 170 grand. And I go, 170? That's a lot even for a rookie. And he goes, yeah. And I go, and I was told by someone else it was more like 2 million. And so anyway, this is the story here. His agent tells me there was a guy in Detroit who calls him up, and I won't give you the mobster's name because he still might be around. But he calls the agent up. Aaron Goodwin is his agent, and he calls him up and he says, "Look, Jamal still owes this much money. If he doesn't come through with this, we're going to kill him." And he's going, "What? You can't? He's an NBA player. You can't kill Jamal Crawford."
Sure, you can.
I'm telling you, What I'm telling you. And he said, well, look, his first payment of the season comes in September, it's October. He gets it. Well, we'll get a pay. Like, he had to work out a payment plan for Jamal Crawford. And so this is the most pathetic thing. And I said, Jamal, I don't care how much you lost, 172 million. Like, it doesn't matter. But what was that like? And he says at the end of the night, he walks out of Jordan's restaurant after a 16-hour binge, because these guys were, and apparently Ray Allen was in the same game and lost more, but could afford to lose that. Ray's never talked to me since after I asked him about it. We used to have a good relationship. Ray's never called me back on it. Obviously didn't write it in his autobiography. And I said, what was it like? And he goes, I had a new white Beamer. It was like all, tricked out, beautiful car. And he went to the back of the trunk and he goes, here, before I give you my car, he gives the gambler his car, gives him the keys to his car. He opens the trunk and takes out his basketball. And he walks back with his basketball and gets a ride home from a taxi. Come on. I mean, that's an
Just a
NBA player.
basketball.
Well, look,
Justin, he takes an orange basketball. He takes an orange basketball out of his trunk of his car, and watches his probably rookie ride go off with someone else.
but let's extrapolate
Yes.
here,
Amazing.
seeing as we're sitting on this subject right now, and Mike brought it up. Let's be honest. Is there anybody sitting here, any of the three of us, that can look anybody in the eye and say, we don't know? We may not know empirically, but we certainly know from the evidence and what we've heard that there is rampant gambling by the players in the NBA. They can tell us that it's just a couple of players here and there, but with the insane amount of money that is thrown around from young guys who feel as if they're entitled and can get away with anything, and they don't have to worry about any of the legalese because somebody will get me off, there'll be an attorney or an agent somewhere, and the club will help get me off. They all believe this shit. There is probably more gambling by the players in the NBA than anybody is aware of, and I'll go another step. I'll say if you're going to go to the NBA, next go to the NFL. There is a tremendous amount of gambling that is going on. The league doesn't know it. Maybe even in some cases the league does know it, because we can all say that there are probably certain players that are protected very well. We've seen that before over the years, where the league basically will hint, hint, Michael Jordan, let's not talk about any of the rumors there, that they'll protect him. There's a rampant amount of gambling here.
Mike,
Every
do you
day.
remember? Do you remember in the NBA contracts? Are they allowed to go to casinos? I think they are. Obviously, right? They're allowed to go to casinos.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm not going to push back on you, Ed. I will say this. I think gambling's an habitual. Look, part of the allure of it is the competitiveness. I mean, I remember being in a roulette casino and getting winning on 6 or 7 spins out of 8, and the pit boss was just a jerk, and at some point I thought I was all that, and I thought I was, I'm like, look, I'm going to keep playing, and you're going to have to lay off a lot of people tonight, and I don't want to see that happen. I don't want to see people lose their job because I keep winning, and like just to mess with them, right? So, but if you're a player, it's sort of like that's the next level of competition is you're beating somebody, and so I think a lot of athletes gamble. I would be surprised, and I would be surprised if a lot of NBA players are betting on basketball. It's against the.
Well, remember, I didn't say betting on
but it's like,
basketball. I said gambling. There's
Right.
a lot of
So-
them
yeah,
gambling.
gambling. So I think a lot of them are so. But the moment you like get into a guy who's a guy in Toronto that basically all of a sudden they investigated his prop bet where he was supposed to get so many minutes and he basically pulled himself out of a game, and these guys made tons of money, and it was flagged, and the NBA did an investigation, and sure enough, he got banned for life. I mean, that's you only have a finite number of years as an athlete to make that kind of money. I
that's
don't
just it.
think
It's play
even
money for
guys
these
that are role
athletes.
players many guys would jeopardize that. But you're right. It's all over sports. It's all over society.
Well,
And it is what it is.
the other part of this is, and I don't want to be naive about it because I mentioned NBA and NFL. Let's say this. I'll bet you that there is more gambling by players in college basketball and in college football than anything else. These kids and a lot of these players get away with it. It's sitting on their phones. They have nothing else to do. I can tell you from past experience within the last couple of years, I have been in places where I have been around college athletes from major universities, and they are sitting there on the phone, and when you look, it's a gambling app. They're sitting there placing bets on the NFL, the NBA. I asked one of them one time, I said, do you bet on college basketball? Figuring I'd get a laugh. Kid said, I don't want to talk about that, man. And that was the answer, because probably there's a lot there that they haven't gotten into yet. Probably the NBA, the NFL, Major League Baseball, NHL, and all those others, they have better mechanisms to make sure that they can keep the gambling away. They've got more oversight. College? Come on, it's a wild west out there right now with the NIL and the kind of money that's being tossed around. These kids aren't using that money to help their 84-year-old grandma buy a jacuzzi.
Well, let me tell you right now, that's pretty good. That wasn't his grandmother. That was his mother, by the way.
I didn't want to insult his mother, so I took it to grandmother's.
And let me tell you right now, guys, the time I was at Diddy's party, no, I'm kidding. That didn't happen. But there, I mean, I'm not gonna get. Well, okay, I'll give up this story. But there was at some point. I won't tell you who told me it, but the high school, I'm not the college all stars. I guess was Chris Webber, Grant Hill, all these guys. Remember Bobby Hurley? They were brought in to play the Dream Team. You remember that in '92?
They beat the Dream Team.
And yeah, yeah, exactly. And so I think they were in Monte Carlo for before the pre-Olympic tune-up, and a couple of the college players were asked to go up to Magic Suite to watch, these guys play cards, and it was Magic. It was Michael, and I think Barkley was there, but there were like five guys that you would know. And the college guys, I guess, Weber, Grant Hill, all these guys are looking around going, oh, there's 25 grand on money that they'd never seen in person in their life. It's one thing to get a check for 25 grand. It's another thing to see the cash on the table, that kind of cash on the table. And they're playing big stakes. And one of the guys who told me this story, I'm not going to mention his name, one of the college players said to me, he goes, I kept looking around. There's this one guy, he looked Hispanic. I didn't know who he was, but he was doing pretty well, and he was winning. He was one of the players, and then the book comes out by that guy basically saying Jordan owes him money at golf. Richard Esquinas, you remember him, Kevin?
Esquinas, yes.
It was Esquinas. He was in the card game. A guy that Michael Jordan said he never met, and so this guy was part of the little entourage of the Dream Team, and they were playing huge stakes, and so I could see how Michael Jordan got into debt with this guy. Even Michael Jordan, these guys. I mean, Charles Oakley owed the casino money
Well, most
for a
athletes
while.
have
I
no
heard.
concept of money. Most athletes have no clue. They make
Right.
a lot of money when
Well,
they're
you
young.
do
They get
when you get in the
contracts.
hole. You do when you get in the hole like that.
Well, in the hole like that, yeah, but by the time when you start, I mean, a lot of these entitled athletes, and most of the time it happens in the NBA and the NFL, they make a tremendous amount of money up front. They've got it. They'll spend it. They'll have fun with it. Look, there are a number of athletes, professional athletes, that have gone broke after signing multi-million-dollar contracts. And what are they doing? They're spending it on cars. They're spending it on gambling. They're spending it on trips. They're spending it on handing it off to their entourage, who basically is sucking the money out of them as often as they can. So a guy like Jordan, he's got billions of dollars, basically, or whatever kind of amount of money that he had at the time. Yeah, I can lose it. Don't worry. If I lose $50,000, I can go ahead and make it up in the next endorsement from Nike. They don't care. But the problem is, you have the general gambler, which is the fan, who sees and hears about all this money being out there. They think they can make it back because, the big guys bet on it, so it must be. And they can't. Most of them can't.
Or the player that doesn't make $10 million a year.
Sure.
And that player's
one of my favorite 30
ahead.
for 30s is one of my favorite 30 for 30s is the 30 for 30 broke. You talk about athletes who've lost everything. If you haven't seen it, it was one of the original 30 for 30s, and it came out how many of these athletes, and I believe Antoine Walker was in there, and I got to know Antoine when he was up here in Boston. Antoine Walker had like $70 million, and it was gone in years, just gone because of gambling or just frivolous spending.
How did he lose it, Kevin?
Say it again.
How did he lose it?
It's a combination of gambling, frivolous spending, bad business deals, and one. So this 30 for 30, and it's one that needs to be brought back, especially in today's day and age, given how much money these kids can now make. It needs to be brought back because of that as a cautionary tale. But a lot of it is bad business deals.
But here's the thing: it won't be brought back. It won't be brought back because DraftKings now has a deal with ESPN. Why would they bring it back? They
Exactly.
might scare somebody away.
ESPN does not, and ESPN, Fox, all the rest, it makes no difference. The leagues themselves. Look, I'll tell you what, I was watching the Bruins game last night, and I was shocked to see the first. I know, I'm sorry too, believe me. As a Bruins fan, it's like I'm putting a gun to my head every time I watch those damn games. I'm looking for a reason not to watch. But I was shocked when in the first intermission, they brought in a gentleman who was involved in a group that was trying to limit gambling and make gambling aware, tell people about the pitfalls of it. I don't remember his name or the organization. But they were talking about how it's easy to fall into the pits and how it's easy to lose your money and how the predilection for people now to go ahead and just gamble is destroying lives. I was stunned to see that interview because the Bruins and the NHL are just as much involved in gambling as any other major sport these days. They push it every day. Look, and then you go to the next, maybe like 5 minutes into the period, and here's the announcer going, here's the immediate odds right now on gambling, and it has 3 players with the odds on who's going to score the goal next. You just told everybody about how dangerous gambling is, yet you're out here telling them, go ahead and make the bet.
Well, I do know a lot of states are trying to, at least it was a few months ago, a lot of states were almost having buyer's remorse where they're thinking, and I imagine it's because they want more of the money. They see a large portion of the pie coming in and they're realizing, oh, but we can get more if we regulate it this way. They're trying to take back some of the freedoms that they've allowed these sites to have.
And it's all a con because in Florida, where I live, you have them all saying, hey, be part of the lottery, the Powerball, the Mega Ball, because it's all good for education. Education gets millions of dollars.
Well,
in all the years they've had these damn lotteries,
now.
By this time, every kid should be a PhD with a master's degree.
right.
Education.
Right.
It's
Where's
bullshit.
What happened to our lottery-inspired reading scores?
Exactly.
Yeah, they've gone down. Well, at least Vegas is honest. I remember seeing a billboard there where it says, stop smoking. Stop smoking, a big billboard, and it's like, stop smoking, 1-800, anti-nicotine, and then underneath it says, you'll have more money for gambling. Trade one addiction for the next.
This brings up a great
Can you guys
idea
believe
then,
I've never
while
been
we're
to
sitting
Vegas?
here talking about gambling, and I mentioned the pro rights.
Let's
we
just
discuss
buried
this for a
the
moment.
lead. Ed, we buried the lead.
Wait, okay.
Kevin said he's never been. Kevin's never been to Vegas.
I've never been to Vegas.
Excuse me?
I've never been to Vegas. I swear to God, I've never been to Vegas.
I hate to say it.
You want to know why?
I hate to say it, but
so you're one of the 6 mortal beings on the planet Earth who've never stepped foot in Las Vegas. You're one.
I've never flown in. Go, Mike. Go, Mike. Go.
Ed, this is the second show in. The fastest show in sports is going to take Kevin to Vegas on its expense account.
What we're going to do is we're now going to put it out here, seeing as we're both on audio podcast and on video on YouTube and all the social media as well. I'll go ahead and put this up. Ladies and gentlemen, please, we are looking for a sponsor. We want a sponsor of this show who can not only help us, 10% of everything we do gets donated to local animal shelters and rescues, by the way, in case you're wondering. So we take care of the pups and the cats and the cats. We take care of all that. But we need you. We need you. Please help us get Kevin to Las Vegas. Kevin needs to be in Las Vegas at the casino. We will then go ahead and give you all the promotional advertisements you want. But please, let's fly Kevin to Vegas. Let's put him up in a casino. Let's give him $1,000 to bet. And we will billboard the hell out of this show because you will be helping us end this nonsense and end this poor man who's never been to Vegas.
I'm scared. I know my limits. I know what would happen. I do know what would happen. It's not good. I can get in
Okay, well,
trouble.
there has to be a round trip ticket. It cannot be a one-way ticket.
There have to be chaperones.
You know what I did? My dad had a good idea.
Just
My
call us.
dad had
Send me an email. We'll take care of it. We'll get all the sponsorship done. Go ahead.
Hey, put the email up. Put the
My
email up in
dad,
the bottom. Put the email up in the bottom.
By the way, just in case you're wondering, Polar, I drink Polar too. It'd be a great sponsor for us. We'll get Polar in here as well, and the Polar money can help us get him to Vegas. So there you go.
you know, and my dad's best idea in gambling. I'll give him one on this one. It was obviously pre credit cards. It must have been in the 60s or so. But he said he used to bring a self-addressed stamped envelope with some tinfoil to Vegas. And he would win. Well, let's say he won $120, and he realized that was probably as good as he was going to do, and he would mail himself the money back. Like you can't do that anymore with credit cards.
That's a
awesome.
smart move.
Well,
Wait a minute. Let me get to this end, because seeing as we're off on a gambling tear here, and we haven't even mentioned the guy who peed at the Masters, which is the best story of the day. We'll get to that later. Look at Mike; he hasn't heard that story yet. We'll get to that before we.
I haven't either.
You haven't heard that story? Oh, come on, you Masters!
I hadn't heard it.
You haven't heard that? But let's go to this. Seeing as we're talking about gambling, out of the major sports that are there, and that's all of them: baseball, football, basketball, hockey, NBA, NHL, college basketball, auto racing, whatever. Which sport do you think is probably the most infiltrated by those who gamble and influence the outcomes of the game? Which sport in your mind comes up as the one that, without question, there's people fixing games, they get away with it, and we can't stop them?
I would have to say, and I'm not talking like Florida or Houston or Duke or somebody, but but lower level college bat. Like say, if you were in mid majors, and you weren't a very good mid major team, you weren't going to the tournament. I would just say it was a number of. It's like the odds. If you can get one or two players on a basketball team to buy in to shaving points or shaving points or tanking in any way, shape, or form, that's a pretty cheap investment if you're a big time mobster. And kids aren't making, and like these kids don't have NIL deals at these little mid majors, and they see these other kids getting NIL deals worth 500,000, even 200,000. If you could get 100,000 to play basketball, that's a lot more than you did in the AAU. So it's 100,000 more than you got in the AAU. So if you could get to some of those kids, sadly enough, you could get some games. I'm surprised there's not more investigation at those levels. And I don't know that from experience. I don't know anybody who has been.
We're assuming an awful
has
lot
thrown
here, I
a
guess.
game. But I'm looking at maybe it's because I watched Blue Chips or something. But either way, it's if you get one or two players, that's it.
Do you remember the name Headache Smith at Arizona State? Headache Smith at Arizona State back in the 80s. So I had never seen that documentary. Up here in Boston, I've always known about Boston College, and obviously it turned into a 30 for 30. It turned into freaking Goodfellas, for the love of God. I knew that about that point shaving scheme. I didn't know about Headache Smith, which was 1,000 times worse. There's a Netflix documentary called Bad Sport, and that to me is the more fascinating one, where that's real deal. That's real deal point shaving.
This just brought up this. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, to your question, do we still think referees can influence a game in the NBA like Tim Donaghy did?
Without question.
Scott Foster's without question.
Without question. Is it now? Wait a minute. Is it happening? I don't know. I don't have any evidence of it.
I asked, do we think it could happen?
Yes.
Because that's always to me the one that gets interesting, because it is so subjective when it comes to officiating, and you've got so many fan bases who are so high strung where every questionable call gets scrutinized.
Well, you just answered my next question, which is, out of all these sports, which one do you think is easiest to fix? To me,
NBA.
it's basketball, without question.
It's basketball. It's basketball, 100%. I would agree with that.
Because it might be in the NFL, you could, if there was a receiver who could drop a pass or a quarterback who could throw errant passes, that's possible too. But because of the scrutiny in the NFL, I think that would be exposed rather quickly. And because you pointed out the way fouls are called and the way things are done on a basketball court, I would say that's probably the greatest possibility. Of course, now wait a minute, if we're going there, in baseball you still have pitchers who can be out of the strike zone, these are guys who deal in inches on the pitches. They can change the outcome of a game. And in motorsports is another one because that's still a big gamble. And golf, too. I mean, in motorsports, all you have to do is have something break, fix something to break, take your foot off the gas for 1/10 of a second, and you go from first to second place. And in golf, look, if you want to fix a match, all you have to do, even if you're a great golfer, is there's the putt. It's a 10-foot putt. It's an easy putt that any pro can make, and you push it a little bit to the left, and everything changes.
But those sports are so individually driven, and I get that. I get that the driver and the golfer probably already have some money, and if it's an up and comer is not going to fix because if he's in position to fix a golf match or to fix a golf tournament, that means he's in position to win and probably win a hell of a lot more. And a win's going to mean a hell of a lot more than whatever Joey the Nose is going to wind up paying him. You know what I'm saying? So I would say it's less likely in the individual sports. You would need, as Mike said, a team guy who's not getting the deal that the rest of his teammates is getting.
Right. I'm pointing out that it could happen, but I still think you're right. I think in those sports, in the individual sports, it's a little more difficult. It's still possible, though. So that's why I'm thinking which one has the greatest opportunity to fix. I still come back to basketball.
Yeah, I do too. But if there ever was an investigation into the NFL and fixing, don't we have to talk to Sam Darnold this year? Oh my God, he was awful. Sam Darnold was awful.
All you have to do is prove it.
He cost himself so much money. I can't believe that he would have made more money throwing the games away.
But see, that's the point. I think that the NFL, because of the tremendous amount of money that's involved in the NFL that everybody makes from top to bottom, they're going to crack down as hard as possible. They're probably the best, and I have nothing to base this on except just personal views. They're probably the best at figuring this out because that's the one sport that if all of a sudden it gets out that there's rampant fixing in the games with all the money that's spent
it's over.
And the popularity of the NFL, that thing craters immediately.
Agree, 100%. Like that's the one that's protected, and that's the one that's got they got the guardrails up so hard and so fast. They're the ones. They don't let the NFL doesn't even let you. I'm not even sure if you can go into a casino during an NFL
I'm not
season.
sure anymore.
But I know you can't do practice.
I mean, anytime anybody is involved and they prove it without a shadow of a doubt in the NBA, the guy's banned for life. I mean, Tim Donahue's never going to work again. Brandon, God, was it not Brandon Marsh? Whoever was recently jettisoned for Toronto's done.
He was the Denver Nuggets. He was a Denver Nuggets brother, Porter.
Right, it was Michael Porter Jr.'s brother.
Yes,
it's Michael Porter Jr.'s brother, which is even sadder in a way because, not that your brother's going to take care of you, but you're sort of on this trajectory. I mean, look, I always talk about the thin line in sports, and it's a thin line in life too. I mean,
sure.
Well, here's the answer to the question here. Can NFL players go to casinos? NFL players are allowed to gamble, but can't do so at team-run facilities, from team hotels, or while traveling for road games. Second question, can footballers go to the casino? As confirmed by the Players Association, football players can bet. It is possible for them to bet on all other sports except football. They can also bet at the casino. And here's another one. NFL personnel shall... Whoa, wait a minute. Now it creates a problem. says NFL personnel shall not enter, visit, or use a sports book at any time during the NFL playing season. This is not intended to prohibit simply passing through a sports book to access a permissible area of a casino or a hotel complex. Okay, they can
But
go to casinos,
NFL
you can't go to
personnel,
a sports book.
NFL personnel, are we talking players?
That would be anybody. If you're NFL personnel, you're
Okay,
employed by the NFL.
so if you're NFL personnel, you can't go to a sports book, but you just go on an app.
At any time during the season.
Right.
You can't
During
go
the
into a
season.
sports book during the season, and
So
which
you-
now brings up
so you
another
have your
question.
friends there.
What is the season? I mean, do they go out there and they set dates on the calendar and say this is the end and the
Yeah, but not only that, you could just have your friend bet for you. I mean,
okay? You brought up the next
if you
part.
want to if you want to gamble, if you want to gamble, if you want to chance it, there's ways to do it. It's I look, my son is 14. I love him to death, and he's actually, I hate to say this, but I don't think he's biologically my kid because he's actually a good basketball player, and he's actually very and I want him to.
Does he have hair?
I want him to go as far as I want him to go. He has a lot of hair, so I definitely have to do one of those Maury Povich specials. He is not the father, but he's really good. You know, he's really good player for his age, and he might play college. I don't know if it's Division I, probably a lower Division II or III, but he said, Dad, what if I don't play basketball? What am I going to do? I'm like, buddy, you do whatever you want to do. He goes, what if I do become a professional gambler? And I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. Now I want to take him. Now I want to take him to a sports book with like the $20 I gave him for him and his friend to go to the movies, and I want him to put money on any team he wants, and I want him to lose, and I want to teach him young that it is that.
Well, there's a lot of people at that age
who
who are looking at professional gambling as an actual job. I mean, they look at it right now.
Well,
How
they're
easy it
looking at-
is. Why not?
Well, look at us. I'm old. You're older, Ed. You're still young, Kevin. Ed, how old are you, Ed?
I'm not telling. I have
Okay.
never.
Well,
I have never revealed my age in
I-
100 years in this business. I have never revealed my age. No one knows it for sure.
Okay, well, I'm 45 plus 16. But
I was going to say 45 my ass.
Yeah, right.
You've got shoes that are 45 years old,
at,
Mike Wise.
but I guess what I'm getting at is the whole notion of the only people, I know Kevin would know more than me because I had a little bout of, we'll talk about it another day and time, but I had a little bout of sports gambling where I thought I could win and I ended up losing my ass and really pissing off my wife and realizing that I didn't need to be there. But the only people I know that win, like really win money, are the guys who study. They find one game, they might do $20 on some crazy parlay, but one game a week, and they're going to put $3,000 on that one because they know that team's going to cover, or they know this team is, and for whatever reason, they find that one game, they make all their big money, and then maybe they play around with $200. But those are the guys who make money. I'm the kind of guy who I basically I'll win a $100 bet and I'll go, oh, now I'm going to get a 3-team parlay. I'm going to show these guys that I know what I'm doing.
Look, there's something else too about the influence of gambling. The influence of gambling in sports these days, and I mentioned earlier about how the NHL pushes it. Every sport now pushes it. Let's be honest. There's guys and gals out there who are gambling experts who, if you really want to look into a game and see who might win the game, and you've got an interest, whether it's betting or not, you want to hear from some of these people. They're good. I mean, some of them study so much. They're really good at what they do, and I'm shocked sometimes at the amount of times they get it right.
I know a few handicappers, and I'll call my buddy, friends, is older guy named Joe. I'll call him. It was
Nicky the Nose. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mickey the Nose. I'd call Joe like on a 9 o'clock or whatever on one of the days of the tournament where he had noontime tips, and the answer, he'll pick up the phone. What's up? I said, hey, what are we thinking? He says, I'll call you back. I'm studying. I get a text. I get a call back in an hour. And he tells me the teams that he likes, and I would write them down. And, well, he's hang on. He's a tout, and he's a handicapper, but he's a friend
Kevin
of mine.
Winter's got an inside. That's it. From
And
now on, we take this show
Well,
forever.
whoever-
All we do is
whoever's
gamble
hang
from
on,
here on out
whoever's
because Winter's
dumb
got
is-
all the inside dope.
Yeah, you
Before
guys,
the show is
we
over,
all went robot here.
before the show is over, can Jum pick us an NBA game tonight? I mean, my God,
You degenerate.
it's like if we're gonna, I'm telling you, if this Ludwig guy comes through, all of a sudden we have a monetary stream. We're gonna get people following us.
Hey, by the way, our boy double bogeyed the seventh hole. So
See?
we're now at -3.
See, and that's it because on
We're now-
golf,
and Rosie's at 9 under, so we're 6 back. We got some work to do.
I'll go ahead and take some of these handicappers when they look at the team sports specifically and they're able to give us the tendencies. In golf, there's no such thing as tendencies because somebody's out there all of a sudden, you get the yips and you're done. You're thinking about something else and the money that you're making and not making, you're done. You'll push it, you'll shove it left. I mean, to me, there's no tendencies in golf. It's a guess.
But
then again, I suck as a golfer. So
if a guy's playing well for a while, and he's might be on the cusp of winning, I don't see what's wrong with wagering your entire house and life savings on that.
or your mom's jacuzzi.
Or your mom's jacuzzi. Now, I want to get back to that story earlier because we've all talked about the Masters here, and this is if you would have placed a bet with somebody for the Masters that a player would pee into Rays Creek and you put $20 on it, you'd win a spitload of money right now because an amateur by the name of Jose Luis Ballester, he was out on the course, he forgot where the bathrooms were, he had to leak, and he peed into Rays Creek in front of everybody. Now, that, to me, that's the story of the Masters.
Hang on. And the good folks at Augusta National, they have not banned him for life?
Not yet. Now, apparently, they were thinking about banning him because his coach showed up at the practice tee dressed in shorts.
Oh, no, can't do that.
Well, yeah. Unfortunately for him, and I don't want to get political here, but he sounds like a gentleman who's from España or some Hispanic. Yeah, he's from España, and I guess that counts under our immigration laws. And he will be in an El Salvador prison within a week, unfortunately.
It's very possible. I'm not sure if he's an American citizen or not, but he did actually besmirch Augusta.
That's crazy. I wouldn't even do that as a fan. I mean, I'm like, I probably got more trailer park in me than I want to admit, but I don't think I would even do that. Like, I might, my kids have needed to pee before, and I've had, look, you can pee outside, but we got to go into the bushes or behind a tree. And, I don't want people seeing what a lousy parent I am in public. I would not even have them pee in Rays Creek unless there was an azalea that I could go behind and nobody would see it. And, but they got cameras all over.
Okay, but hands up then from everybody in the audience. Hands up from everybody in the audience who's played golf at any time or who's any kind of a real golfer and loves to go out and play a lot of it. As I said, I suck at golf. I've barely played 10 rounds in my life. But from those who've been out on the course, male or female, makes no difference, and you had to pee, and you went on the course. See, I'm telling you. You did it.
I mean,
too.
if I did you have the decency?
Winter, did you have the decency to back up to a tree at least?
Oh, I've gone to the tree. Sometimes you just go while the cart's moving. And you can spray.
Oh my God!
Wait a minute. Stop. Hold on.
It all depends how many cocktails, how many sodas we've had.
You are now admitting that you have been on a golf cart playing golf, and you have unzipped, leaned over, and peed while the golf cart is moving. Is that what you're telling us?
Yeah, it might have.
Your career is over, young man.
Okay.
That's it.
I still need a job, so I probably should keep this
That
quiet.
is gross. I'll tell you what's grosser. They tell you, like 20 years ago, and 20 years and probably 60 pounds ago. I ran a marathon a year for 4 years. It was the dumbest thing I ever did because I killed my hip. But I ran the New York City Marathon one year, and I was advised when it starts on the Verrazano Bridge to make sure you run in the middle because there's not a whole lot of bathrooms by the start, and they don't have they don't have a lot of porta potties, and so people like literally pee over the Verrazano Bridge in the first half mile, and you just see these people like lined up, and if you're coming downwind on them, you're catching urine in the face, buddy.
I want to get people who've been in marathons before, and here's like the gross question of the day. You've all these marathons, what are they? 20, 26 miles, whatever they are.
26.2.
26.2.
Because I
26.2,
know
Ed.
people who've run the Boston Marathon many times, and they have told me stories about not just number one, but even the occasional number two that winds up in their faces and in front of them as they're running. That's disgusting.
Ed, Uda Pippig. Google her. Uda Pippig.
No, Uda Pippig was the one who cheated, right?
No,
that's Rosie
rolling
Ruiz.
down her
I'm thinking
leg.
Rosie Ruiz. Okay.
That's Rosie Ruiz.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of they give you a little they give you little wipes anyway, and if you're not doing too well, you could find a way to. But anyway, this show is just going to go to the sewer quick. I think we should
it already
change
has.
the topics.
I think it's time for the weekend. I think it's time for the weekend.
Last thing I want to follow this up from the show we did earlier this week, because I talked a lot about Pat McAfee, and I wanted to make sure I got this out again because Pat McAfee is a vile slug of a human being who continues to make tons of money by being an arrogant and unhappy and very despicable kind of human being. And this goes back to the whole issue of the Ole Miss co-ed whom he basically helped to shame on his show. And now, of course, there's a possibility of a lawsuit against him. Turns out that
tell people the story how it started. Some people probably don't know that he essentially had saw some rumor on the internet that a co-ed had slept with her boyfriend's father or boyfriend, and this became a thing to talk about. And they never mentioned her name, but they said where she went to school.
But everybody knew it by that point.
They identified her. They identified her in a way that she basically became a subject of some vicious, evil rumors that were untrue.
Well, yeah, she basically had to bail out of class. She had to change all sorts of information about her, phone numbers, social media, because basically the animals came out of the zoo and decided to attack her and made her life miserable. So McAfee was one of the people, and it really didn't take off until it hit McAfee's show. It was out there on a couple of low-level social media accounts used by college students, and that's how it got started. And it really didn't take off until McAfee made a mention of it, and then everybody, of course, in his audience, massive audience, a couple of million people, started to look for it, and then they went after her. Now, the thing is, McAfee has not apologized to this point, as we talk about this today. But he came out this week and said, I'm going to find the silver lining in this story. That's his excuse at this point.
Silver lining?
The silver lining in this. There's going
What was the silver lining?
He brings up, I guess, that he went at it with Brett Favre for a while, and that's now all taken care of to where he and Brett Favre are now talking. It was no big deal. But he's not sure of this. He says there's going to be a silver lining in this, and he doesn't apologize. You son of a bitch! You ruined this girl's life, for crying out loud. At least apologize for what he's done. And this is the guy who's one of the, if not the most popular individual in sports talk social media these days. I don't get it. I'm
gonna write. I'm 61 years old, and
you are old.
But I need to drop about 20, 25 easy, if not more. But I'm willing to challenge Pat McAfee to a boxing match on this show for charity, and I will fuck him up.
He's a big guy.
And I don't care.
Big boy.
I don't care. And he can wear his wife beater, and he can wear his wife beater into the ring too. I will and I haven't been in a fight since a pickup game 30 years ago, and I probably lost that one. I will find a way to hurt him. This is just it's an awful thing, and the guy's one of the worst human beings out there, and
It's a
somewhat
despicable
in
human
some
being who then
way
comes out and says,
in some way it's a larger than that he's accepted that. And there's a lot of guys, I mean, they're not just Pat McAfee, there's a lot of trolls out there, and there are a lot of lousy human beings, and this whole
yeah, but
man, it's a different
not a lot
show.
of these human beings have $1 million or millions of people who listen to them and basically
Yeah, but a lot
follow
of them
them blindly like a
but
stupid idiot and just like a lemmings. And when this guy comes out, and I
well,
forgot to bring this up. He also said that it will all blow over. Don't worry about it. It'll
but
all
All
here's the
blow
blow
deal.
over.
over. Oh,
All
the
these
ever famous
guys,
last word.
all these it's a bigger show, but it's like this manosphere thing is scary,
We got to do
and
that one day.
it's real, and it goes right to the Tate brothers. It goes to misogyny. It goes to sex. It's the whole idea that you can pretty much, like, under the camouflage of there's too much PC, and we live in a place now where, I mean, I think Joe Rogan said that the R word, somebody that's mentally challenged, is coming back into the lexicon, and we can say, and it's a cultural victory. Like, this is a guy who dropped the N bomb 20,000 times on air, and they had a video of it. These people look, the guy's successful. He's actually a decent interviewer, but they use their platforms for utter hate and crap. And that's the thing that
No, it's
bothers
not.
me.
It's not
And
hate and
that, and
crap,
that,
Mike. It's ratings and money.
well, that's the worst thing. Is it's they know they know that there's an appetite for sickness out there, so therefore they feed it and they make money off
They're
it.
speaking to a puerile audience of usually, and it's the male demographic from 18 to now 45 at this point, who think it's funny.
Yeah,
I mean, they think it's hysterical.
yeah,
Oh, hey, did you hear McAfee talking about that broad out there who's in college and she's banging away at her
yeah.
boyfriend's father? That's what they do. That's how they handle it. And that's one of the reasons why, on this show at least, in the 2 shows that we've done, I won't mention her name. You want to go out and find it, you go right ahead. But I'm not going to be part of
No,
it and start to just throw it out there because
Nope.
it's easy to
Well
find on
done.
the net. But just the mere fact that this reprehensible slime of a human being says, I'll find the silver lining and it will all blow over. Hey, might be blow over for you because you made the money on it. This girl's got to live with it for the rest of her life.
Agreed.
For the rest of her life on the internet, from right now, you'll be able to bring it up, search it, put her name, put her school in there, put his name in there. Bang! It'll show up. She'll be 45 years old with children, and somebody will be able to go out there and say, "Hey, did you hear? She's the one that slept with her boyfriend's father." Bullshit! It's all just rumor and clickbait nonsense. That's the part of these people. But he lives on it. That's the problem.
sick.
Okay, I had my minute.
It's sick, and I know you did a great job on taking him down, and I hope a lot of people see this. If it's only our moms, that's okay. At least they know we were good boys.
Let mom know that we're doing it right. All right. So winter's going to come out here, and the 2 of you guys are going to cash big. We'll find out next week. If you do cash big
Yes.
on your Masters bets, are you guys buying pizza for everybody? I mean, of course, in your case,
No,
Mike, your nephew.
doesn't
We
it
got to
go into
parlay.
the? Yeah, does it?
The
Hey,
Vegas
we got to
fund?
parlay it. Does it, Kevin? Doesn't it go into the Vegas fund? I mean, come on.
No, it goes into the next bet. Actually, hang on.
Okay,
I'm
it goes into the
unemployed
next
right
bet.
now. It goes into my savings account. I send half of it to my sister.
What is your
Look
sister?
at this.
Your
This guy,
agent? I mean,
this guy's
No,
a
my sister
saint.
takes care of my money. Again, my sister takes care of my money.
send her everything.
Again, I'm smart enough to know what gets me in trouble.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, again, we implore you. We would like to find a major sponsor for this show. We will give you the trade. We will put your banners up. We will play your commercials. We will do
my
everything that
excursion in
can
Vegas.
possibly help you with your advertisement and your marketing. If only we can get airfare, hotel fare, and get Kevin Winter to Las Vegas for the first time in his life. Granted, he may disappear. We may never
Please,
hear
God.
from him again. It's definitely possible. But we will,
Please,
if
God.
you will help us, we
Praise
will
Jesus.
help you.
Praise Jesus. Please, God.
Amen.
Praise Jesus. Please,
Have a good
please.
weekend, boys. Have
Yeah,
a great
there you
weekend.
go.
Bye,
Let's
guys.
either make it political or religious. That'll get us all in kinds of trouble. That's Kevin Winter, who has never been to Las Vegas. That's Mike Wise. I'm Ed Berliner. This is the fastest show in sports. Don't forget, you can catch us on podcast and catch us on YouTube and all the other places. And we'll be back next week with all this. Bye, guys. Have a great weekend.
See you guys. Have a
See
good
ya.
week. Have a good weekend.
That's all, folks.